So welcome to our, I think, here. And today we would like to talk about one of our ideas we are working on. We call it WOPI, and that's autonomous testing bot, which hopefully in few years will be ready to be used massively. But we decided that this is some interesting idea after a long time in testing. We would like to dig in and explore and maybe contribute. And that's the autonomous testing. So I'll hope you will enjoy with us this webinar. If you use Slido on your mobile phone, then you can use the QR code. Also, we share the link, so you can click on the link in the chat. We will answer all the questions we could fit into this 1 hour schedule, but we will start with Slido. So if you want to have your questions answered first, please use Slido. Of course, you can place all your questions into chat as well. We form one small team in Tesena focusing on autonomous testing. And I would like to start with our introduction. Honza or Jan is my colleague. He's joining us today, who is responsible within that topic to set up all the tooling, to be able to do any experiments in test autonomous topics. Then my colleague Ondřej is also joining us today. He's developing the bots we are trying to develop, and I'm the tester. So I would like to now demo the product we built. But before that, I would like to explain what the autonomous testing is about. So let's start. And I would like to start with one date. And the date is April 6th in 1992. I don't know whether you know what happened in April 30 years ago. But for those who are in IT or in testing for some time, you might remember there was Windows 3.1 released. And that was maybe first Windows I noticed that there is such an application or such an operating system that we are not using any MS-DOS terminals, but we start with this kind of nice UI where we could click, move with the mouse and play great games on that operating system. But a lot changed after the 30 years and the UI is changing as well. And you might comment that maybe that's not a big change. Maybe they have nice UI controls now, but one thing changed heavily. I remember when we were releasing on a floppy disk and CDs, and the release takes 3 months, and that was really modern approach when you could release every 3 months. We usually release once a year. Now we are releasing sometimes even once in an hour or within a day. So the change which happened on the market was we heavily increased the cadence to release into production. And what's the challenge coming from that is the regression testing. So when we start sprinting and releasing the feature by feature, we were adding some more regression tests, and it was growing and growing. And then we hit the ceiling because our capacity was not enough anymore to grow. And this is maybe well-known picture and we are also using it on some trainings about regression testing. And you might say, but this doesn't work in reality like this, because you always somehow optimize, you automate, you reduce the scope and so on. So you could do some kind of optimization, but it's just postponing the problem because it'll soon blows up. And what we are using now, and this is nothing new. In 2004, it's almost 20 years ago, I became a tester as a part-timer PhD student. I started testing first application. And within my first interview, they were asking whether I would be interested to write some robots to automate the test. And it was 20 years ago. And I think not too much change. Maybe now we are talking about whether Selenium will be the tool, or Playwright or Cypress, or there is a lot of competition about the tools, but we basically have only these two approaches. One was the manual, and we find out that manual is not enough. We need to somehow optimize. So we introduced automation. And the automation itself was a good idea because we were trying to reduce these execution times, but we just shift the problem somewhere else. We extend the maintenance, or the maintenance is much bigger nowadays. And also preparation takes a long time. Apart from that, you often need to have more qualified or skilled people to do the automation testing. So this idea was maybe a bit better than manual. It solves these quick iterations. We could run the regression testing much quicker, but we a lot of problems just throw into different buckets. So this is 20 years we are talking about these two things. But we were trying to find some maybe better solution, and there is not. But we last year find one idea. And I was laughing first time when I heard about it, and that was autonomous testing. I didn't believe that this could work. But the idea itself is promising that the execution will be kept almost the same good as it was in automation, but you do not need to maintain and you do not need to build. You just configure and you start. And maybe when you see this first time, maybe you are laughing on that as well, because that's not so easy. And I'll be talking later where the market is now and how far we are from that idea to be implemented and heavily scaled across all the companies and organizations. But before that, let me share with you a quick definition or short definition about autonomous testing. According to some definition, I don't know where I take this, but according to some definition from internet, autonomous testing is technique which applies AI and machine learning to reduce human intervention. So maybe that's, you might say, okay, but maybe this is just automation, but in extreme. Maybe you might be right, but I really find this idea interesting, and I thought maybe after 20 years in testing, that's the time to contribute in these innovative ideas. So we start working last year on the idea, and I'll share later what we find out. But before that, some inspirational pictures. What the cost of bugs is if it's failed in production. First example I took was Tesla. And if this would happen to Tesla and takes 1 hour, guess how expensive it would be in production. And I just calculated 8.2 million per hour in dollars in revenue. I would be interested what would be your number in your organization, because that's the cost of testing if it's not done properly. But of course, this is not happening too often. Sometimes it's very easy to fix. Maybe you just restart server and it works. But there are many other similar defects. Maybe not so horrible ones. So I prepared a few more screenshots, because I decided to collect this kind of bugs. This is from KFC. This is our grocery, big e-shop. But imagine that you would have something like this login screen, and you have just this simple bug. I saw this kind of phishing and some other security attacks. And my question would be whether you would be logged into such a screen if there would be missing all the text. And actually it's there, it's just white, so you can't see that. So this wouldn't be even catched by test automation. So you really need to test manually sometimes. And I know that some companies, they just drop the idea of manual testing. They do everything out in automation way, or they automate all the tests. And if it's passed, they if in the pipelines, then they just deploy into production. But this is one of the examples where even automation doesn't help and you need to do manual testing or you need to find some other way and approach. Another interesting example, imagine you are running your campaign, all your ads are in TV, on YouTube, and online, and you are trying to sell some products. And this is checkout page you built and thoroughly tests using all your automation scripts. But after a few minutes, maybe hours, you find out that this is happening in production and your automation tests are passing. All are okay, there is no problem at all, because just some simple CSS file was broken. And my question would be how the conversion rate would change if this would happen. This is again example where test automation wouldn't work. And there are many such stupid bugs. We spend a lot of time, we automate, we hire the best people on the market, and then it's just thrown or popping up in production. And it's too expensive not to catch these bugs. And I believe autonomous testing could help with some of these issues. And where it could be applied, if we are talking about autonomous testing, I was presenting a lot of screenshots from applications on mobile or desktop, but you can apply that apart from UI testing, also on API testing. And this is very general slide. I don't want to go into too much details, but you could find a way how to apply these approaches in both UI and API. And why I'm talking about that maybe my examples are not so obvious for API testing, and maybe the examples are not so obvious where this could be used. So I'll give you some more ideas. But before that, let's move into different topic. I'm talking about something which you might say this will never work, or you might say this is something I never saw before. And you might be right, because one of the other activities we were doing before we start building it, we were trying to search what's on the market. And according to Gartner, our friends from Gartner, they said that there is the adoption rate nowadays is less than 5%, but by 2025, so from now it's just 3 years, 1/3 of our testing approaches will be autonomous. And maybe now you say, okay, Marcel, you was crazy until now, but now stop bullshitting me. So I'll just try to explain where the market is now, because this is what Gartner said. And they also listing 30 or 20 tools which already implemented some level of autonomy. And if you are interested, we can share the list with you. The report, it's under some paywall, so it's not easy to get that. But they list maybe 20 tools which are using autonomous testing. But now I'll tell you the truth. These tools are not autonomous testing tools. They have some features which helps you do less. And I'll be talking later about that kind of autonomy, as people call it, or some sales guys call it. But before that, what is the real state of the market? My opinion. Industry is overpromising. We are talking about autonomy, but it's not there. But I believe this is a great idea, but it's not there yet. And that's overpromise. It's around the area of what the tools already have and what it could cover. And there are special use cases where this approach could be applied. And many of these tools are not ready. Even these small areas where you could apply the tool, they are not ready. The other thing is And the discussion when I was talking about this with some friends or some colleagues, so this means that if autonomous testing will start work, we will not need any more testers, right? So maybe I should start search for some new job. That's another nonsense. And I remember this in that 2004, maybe 2006, where people were talking about that automation will replace us as a testers. But this doesn't work like that. It won't work for autonomous testing as well. And the second thing under this overpromising or market overpromise is that solution is not for everything as you might expect or when you hear about the idea. So what is it good for and what is it not good for? I think that the first opportunity we could think about is regression testing. It's a good maybe idea to help ourselves by applying some autonomy into regression testing. But similar as for automation, it's not good nowadays for new feature testing. I don't believe this could easily work in next 5 years for new feature testing. And it's very similar to automation. If you talk to, or if you ask other companies, competitors, colleagues, you will find out that many companies don't use automation for new feature testing because it's not very efficient. I'm not saying it's not possible, but in many cases, we do new feature testing by manual test execution. So let's now move into that what I promised to tell you or share with you. We believe this is a great idea. Maybe it's too early to talk about it, or maybe it's too early to applying it in your organization. But if this will happen, we want to be there with the others who believe the idea. So what we started last year was that we execute more or conduct more than 30 different experiments. We were trying to explore all the tools from the Gartner list. We were trying to understand what's there on the market, when it goes, and we decide that we will try to build our own solution for that. And we are starting with UI autonomous testing. We have first MVP or prototype. I would like to share and demo today with you. And we are trying to find some customers or at least some partners who would like to test the tool on their project. The tool, maybe it's too strong to say tool, our prototype on their project, because we would like to start this as a solution from next year. But now let's move back to the autonomy, because people are saying, okay, 20 tools there on the market, and these tools already do some autonomous testing. So what does it really mean, this autonomous testing? And for our own purposes, and maybe also based on understanding of the market, we decided we will start building two approaches. One is maybe the easier one, and we call it testing assistant, which basically just brings some superpower into your existing test automation scripts. And what are these superpowers? It should help you increase your coverage. So with the existing scripts, you test more, or it brings you some self-healing into your test, which is existing solution on the market and you can deploy it from today. That's nothing special, but we are considering integrate this single feature into some overall approach in testing assistance. And if I'm talking about self-healing, what you could find on the market is self-healing for locators. But we are also considering some other self-healing, like test data self-healing, which we would fit into the overall approach of autonomy, because we would bring much more features to via testing assistance to existing tools. We believe that it could be easily integrated in with Selenium, Cypress, Playwright, and that's our first targets. And we will build it on TypeScript, JavaScript, and in Python. But we also consider implement this for SOAP UI or Postman or any other tools where you could use these functionalities to boost your automation by integrating with assistant. I'll show you our first assistant today, hopefully soon. Just need to check my timing. I think I'm still okay. The second one is self-driving bot. This is fully independent robot scrolling your web page, collecting all the data, and trying to understand what's going on there. And once it's come back into the same stage of app, into same position, it's try to just identify all the deviations. And once these deviations are reported to the humans, to us as a testers, we need to evaluate that. And after this evaluation, we believe we built the bot brain, as we call it, which could be reused later without any interaction with humans. We have also first bot built, and I would like to share with you the bot. But that's the second, I wouldn't call it maybe approach, because that's not the approach, but this is the view how we see autonomy. One is the assistance, just boosting the benefits from your existing test automation scripts. And second one is building fully independent self-driving testing bot. For that, we decide to build some components. This is maybe not the best picture I could draw, but I try to explain on the picture or on some scheme what we are trying to build. One is something we call Commander. This is basically, and I'll talk later about that. This is basically the other tool where we set up everything and monitor the results and also teach the brain what is good and what's not. Then we have the bot itself, which reads all the configuration from the commander. Then we have the brain, which is big database with some logic, and then assistant. I will dig into these four components on next slides. I'll try to be quick and not delay the demo. So let's move to the commander. In terms of commander, we within the MVP decided, and this is not only for the commander, but all the components I will demo today are built on top of existing open source and free tools. We just script the missing parts. So the commander is built out of a few maybe well-known tools. The first one is just simple YAML file. So for the setup, we are using YAML file. Later, it will be integrated into our own UI. For the monitoring the bot, we are using Grafana. And for the teaching bot for UI testing, we are using something which is called VRT, or Visual Regression Test Tracker. You can find on in GitHub. The brain, as I said, it's just big database with some logic, which navigate the bot or boost the features of your existing test automation scripts. And it also provides some data for some better reporting. And also we built our machine learning models there. I'll use this slide for something which is maybe more demo related. We currently have a bot which randomly navigates through the web page and build this kind of graph. It's able to recognize the position and status of app. So it's not only based on URL. There is also some functionality where we store what was the interaction with application. But this is the graph. I'll show you the app from which we build the graph. But this is feature we already implemented. And then we have the assistant. And assistant, as I said, it's just set of superpowers. And first assistant we build is for visual testing or visual regression testing, and I'll show you soon the demo. Of course, we could bring some performance indicators into your existing test automation, or as I mentioned before, locators fixing or test data fixing. The self-driving bot itself, this is the fourth component on my green scheme. That consists of some kind of process where we initially set up the bot, then we execute the bot, and then we review the results. The review of results is via the commander I was trying to explain 3 slides ago. The key point here is that instead of building our test automation scripts and then also assessing the results, we believe that build the step 1 is matter of few minutes. And the last step, which is a review of deviation and handle bugs, is a matter of maybe 20-30 minutes. It depends on the size of your app. But what's important is that this is reducing as you go. So if you teach the brain about your app, this will be smaller and smaller amount of time. And all these things, all these ideas I was sharing with you until now are partially conceptual, but we really want to show something maybe small, but we would like to share with the ideas also small demos. So we decided we will try to build this autonomy within the area of visual regression testing. Maybe someone could say, okay, but this is maybe the easiest one. Or someone could say, but this is maybe the hardest one. It really depends on the context or the application you test. I was talking already with several people, and they were commenting differently the visual feature or visuality as such in our testing efforts. So let me share with you this autonomous visual regression testing bot. I prepared 2 demos for today. One is self-driving bot, and the second one is assistant. Currently, it's running everything on my machine within 4 containers. So hopefully it will be okay. And from performance point of view, we are migrating currently all the components into cloud. Hopefully in few weeks, we could demo it from there. But for today's demo, let me start with this self-driving bot as a first. So for that, I need to have the app I'll test. And as I said, we start with simple MVP or simple prototype. And for that, I build this kind of app. For those who attend my training or some of the courses I'm delivering, you might be familiar with the app. App itself provides something like login screen, so I can log in and log out. I could go to the gallery. The tricky part of the gallery for visual testing is that the pictures are always different. Only the last one is the stable, but the rest of the pictures always change when I click there. And apart from these 2, I hope. Yeah. Apart from these 2, I have contact form. I don't know what's happening with my, and you can see there is no contact form. The app is broken. For the demo purposes, this is perfect app. Maybe too simple, like simulate the production, but that will come soon once we have the prototype tested. And once I have this app, maybe I'll show you a few more things. Then we have this Grafana dashboard, we are still building, and I don't want to go in too much details, but you can see that I can see a lot of projects and their statuses. Then I can see how many executions I already run, how much of them are okay, how much is unresolved. And that's for demo app. I have some more. And then I have this visual regression tracker. You might know the tool. It's open source. You can use it for any other purposes. And for that, I have by bot an assistant as a special, they call it CI build within the tool. So I just split it into two. You can have more. And then only thing I need to do when I run my bot, I just go here. This is my configuration file. This will have a nice UI in the future, but nowadays we have just this. I have my project name, the name or ID of the build, application, then some key to connect to my local visual regression tracker tool. And then I'm saying, okay, I would like to interact with app 10 times. And then there is some timeout. And I now do only clicking. So what I'll do now, I just run the script. Again, this will be nicely packaged, so you do not need to run it from command line, but for our first prototype, we have it now like this. And you can see that these 10 actions configured here will be running, and I can see the bot is collecting some screenshots. If the screenshot is okay, or okay, then it just plays it as okay or approved. You might see that some screenshots are popping up, then they are evaluated, and then they are moved into the next row. But we will see what will happen there. I can see also on my screen that something is happening here, and one bot is running one test. It's pretty small, and it's already finished. So let me run it again to see some numbers on that chart. Maybe I could do some more. Parallel runs. I don't want to break it. I won't run to. I didn't demo it before, so it works in testing environment, but I don't want to demo it in a way that I will broke my testing. But you can see that one bot is running, and so on. So this is the bot. What I could find out, and I'll leave the bot finish, that in some cases, for instance, this number 9, there was some difference, and you can see that this is the one. And you can see that this screenshot is different because, of course, that's because of it is different. And it's obvious. So what I could do, I can see that this is 5% difference, and I could use something like ignore the area, and I can say, okay, this is not what I want to deal with. And I just save it, and now the test should be okay. So when I close it, it's okay. There is no issue. Now I wonder. So, but the other thing what I could do is that this is not the case, that this is really bad. That's failure. So then and it's really slow, but it's coming. Then I could just reject, and I say this is bad. And I can see that the test itself is failing. And then when I rerun that, then I would get the new screenshot to compare. Or what I could do, I could say this is okay. I could approve that new one. And when I run it again, but again, randomly scrolling through the page, clicking on that all buttons, and why this is not refreshing. Nothing went wrong here. But I hope you've got maybe I have some bug here. But you can approve that screenshot. So this is the bot. And now let's move to a few more comments to that. We still work only clicks and clicking on the buttons or anchor. We don't fill any forms yet, but this is all coming in a few weeks or months. And we just collect the screenshots. That's the autonomy idea. What we also bring later is machine learning, which is not there. This is just pixel to pixel. But we would like to, apart from this ignore region, we would like to introduce more dynamic validation. We would like to also introduce some special asserts, like this region need to have at least 4 words, and first one need to start with capital. And many similar assertions, but it's not built yet in our first prototype. And we wanted to share the first prototype and collect feedback and maybe prioritize all the ideas we have. So if you have any feedback for us, maybe I will ask now Jan, Honza, to place the link for the feedback. Or if you would like to see more details, technical details, we could have a demo in more depth for you. But let me move now into the second demo I prepared, and this is existing playwright tests. And for that, I'll start with this one. And for those who don't know what this is about, let me first try to explain. This is TypeScript. Let's call it like a flavor of JavaScript, where to make it simple, where I prepare my first 3 tests. And imagine this is just demo to build the example of your existing tests. I have login correct into the app I demo a few minutes ago. I will try to incorrectly log in, and then I have some test gallery. And within that gallery, I test only these 4 tiles. I just checking whether there are 4 tiles, yes or no. I don't care about anything else. And I don't want to dig into too much into the code. You could improve it. I know some idea. I had some ideas how to improve it even more. You might have some page objects prepared or not. Depends on your preference. But this is my standard playwright test in TypeScript. And now what I will do, I will now run simple playwright test cases by executing them, but I'll run it with my configuration of, they call it projects. This is basically just that I will run the 3 test cases on 5 different configurations, and you will see soon what are the configurations. So now I will start it, and you can see that I'm running the tests on desktop, Firefox, Safari. I'm running it on mobile Safari, and I was talking too long because that's already finished. But you can see all the tests, 15 tests. So 3 tests on 5 configuration, it's 15 together in 4 working parallel processes. So these are my tests. They just try to log in without proper credentials, and then try to check whether, click on the gallery and check whether there are 4 items. So all the tests are passing because the app is working, right? What our assistant now does, it's not turned on yet, but what I will do, I will comment out playwright test, which is basically one object, and I will replace it with our implementation of assistant for playwright. That you need to just add this simple line into your code, and you need to, of course, set up the connectivity to the brain, which is currently this visual regression test tracker tool, nothing else. In the future, we will replace this component, but to demo the idea, that's it. And now I'll run the same test cases. And what will happen, you can guess, that some of the test cases hopefully will pass, and hopefully some of the test cases will fail. You might notice now that the execution is slower. This is what I was talking about at the beginning, because you are collecting the data and feeding some database. Of course, this is not optimized. I didn't work on any optimization. It's running on my machine with 16 gigabytes RAM and some standard configuration. But you can see that some first galleries are now failing, and I'll show you what I could see on other tools. We can see that some tests are running, and some of them are okay, some need to be resolved. This is collected into the same dashboard, and you can see that now assistant is running still. If the tests are failing, the assistant itself, but this is feature of Playwright, try to rerun the test 2 more times. If there is 3-time failure, then it's failed. You can set it up indifferent, but I leave it as a default. So now let me show you how it looks here on the assistant side. What happened? Overload maybe the tools. Okay, it's coming. So you can see all my screenshots or all my tests with which I did, and some of them are unresolved because these tests are not assessed yet, and the assistant itself don't know what to do with that. I will use filter here. Maybe I will need to wait until a name contains gallery. Let me see whether it will work. I really need to work on the performance of that. Okay, but there are 5 tests failed, and hopefully these are the ones which are failing here. So 5 tests failed. These are the gallery, and let's now go there, and the visual regression tracker properly distinguish that this is not the failure. It just don't know what to do with that, and you can see that picture is different. So what I'll do for one configuration, I will set this as an ignore area and save it. Now I will close it, and you can see that I have only 3 unresolved galleries, and one gallery is not here anymore because it's already approved, and that should be this one. I hope so. No, that's not the one. This is the one, I guess. But for this one, I already, no, that was approved. I need to find the okay ones. Sorry. Gallery, which is okay. This is the one I set with ignore area. So I said it could be ignored. And this area is for Chromium with some small screen. So I guess it's Chromium or Chrome, we call it in our test, mobile Chrome. So when I now run the tests, I should get different results. The 4 tests should still fail because I didn't maintain or update the status here. But this one for Chrome should be, or Chromium, should be okay. We call it here Chrome. Maybe I will set it, the naming same, otherwise it's a bit confusing. But you can see that we will get 4 tests failing. I just need to check our timing. We have 10 minutes and I have still a few more. We are almost done with demo. You can see some gallery, mobile Chrome gallery passed. And the reason is because I said that ignore region. All the others will be, or they are already failing, they'll be retried, and they will definitely fail if there is not some surprise. So the second demo was about extending your existing tests by visual testing without adding any code into your test. Now it runs at the end of every test. We just collect the screenshots. In the future, we preparing also some parameter that you can say that after each action, I would like to collect the screenshot, or after which action I would like to collect the screenshots. This is not built yet, but that will be part of that assistant. We will build an assistant for Playwright. There will be definitely assistant for Cypress. And we still didn't decide whether Selenium will be for the community to help us to build, or we will build something also for the Selenium. That will be also available for mobile testing, but there is no plan at all now. But this is what we are now trying to build, and we believe this could be valuable assistant or help for existing tools. And also in terms of bot, I will now maybe switch to the slides. In terms of bots, we are building, we believe you do not need to have so skilled testing team, because that would be easier to set up. Of course, you need to still understand how it works. You still need to have some technical knowledge, but that's not so heavy as automation. That were 2 demos. I was trying to explain how all works. Maybe my question to you, and please help me to make it a bit interactive. Write into chat whether you feel that this has some potential for you, or for your environment, or for your application, or for your team, and whether you have similar experience in terms of testing within your environment, whether this is something which could have a potential. And as I said, we are at the beginning, and I think it'll take a few years to build it in a way that that will be very helpful. I believe there are some tiny use cases where it could help now. Maybe you could build your assistant by yourself very easily using these tools I was showing you, but I believe this could help. We also consider to build some methodology around it, or approach, or good practice, collect from other applications, from community, from other customers or competitors. But that's the future. It's not, we are not there. I'll continue with a few more slides. If you are interested in more details, then we could schedule, and I promise that I would like to run these demos several a week, which will dig into more details, which maybe could go into onto code level, or maybe in different direction, like trying to discuss how this could help you on your project. So if you would be interested for that details, I'm happy to share all the details with you, because we are trying to learn from the market how to improve, or what should be the priority for us as a next step. If you find this interesting and you would like to share it with your colleagues, that's also maybe opportunity. So if you want, we could book a demo with you, and hopefully I'm not following the chat, but Honza, could you please share the link where you could organize or schedule the demo as a self-service? So if you are interested, use the form and submit or schedule demo for you. We are happy to share more details. I have Ondřej and Jan with me, so they are more maybe in deep technical detail, better than me, but we would like to share the ideas. And that's basically it from me. Thank you for...
There's one question.
Okay.
In chat.
And no, nothing in Slido?
Nothing, but I can post it to Slido.
Okay.
So you can switch to Slido now.
Okay, what I will do, I will stop this poll, because maybe that's distracting. And then it's, yeah. The bot itself doesn't work with the code at all. If you are talking about the code, and you mean the code how you build the app, that's not there. What we are considering is that we will collect all the browser events, because there is something as a feature in Playwright, because our bots are built on top of Playwright, which is called trace. And there is a plenty of data we could analyze, not only screenshots, but also how the bot interacts with app and what was happening there. So we considering to process and apply machine learning into all these JSON files, all the automation code, if there is any automation code, and we would like to reshare the brain. So if we are talking about the core code, we believe that we could learn from existing test scripts to improve our bots, but not bot itself, but it will be via brain. So the brain itself will be improved constantly, applying some machine learning and some other ideas, some other algorithms, and it'll give the feedback back to the bot, but also based on the test automation scripts. But we are not there yet. I believe we are now talking about the future, which is coming next 3 to 5 years, but we don't want to have only slideshow. We really want to have something tangible and show you how it could work, even it's very tiny. So thanks for the first question. Now I need to find the right feature to say this was respond. Now highlight. This should highlight the I am interested if it could be used for games, not just for the web pages. Yes, it could. We never tested. I would love to use it for some gaming. I didn't talk too much in the demos about some kind of thresholds. So we could say to our bot and also to our assistant that ignore any difference which is less than 1% of that pixel comparison. This is one approach we could try to apply. Second one is machine learning, where we didn't start yet, but we believe that some kind of similarity between pictures could be trained to the model. That's basically, I believe until summer we have it. We have some features using machine learning to be better, to get better judgment about the data we collect. So if you have such a application where we could use it, then let's talk during demo. You could schedule via the link Honza shared. But that's pretty exciting idea, at least for me. Let's now focus on the last one. That was the screenshot itself. We collect the screenshots using Playwright. So that's nothing what we do. It's just feature of Playwright. We're asking Playwright to make a screenshot. And there's mobile browser, right? All the screenshots are like from mobile. You can easily simulate the similar feature using this. I don't know, this is iPhone SE. And you can see my app is not very responsive. It's pretty old fashioned, but I build new. I'm building now a drone eShop to simulate all these things. I'm excited about the idea. It's not ready yet, but there will be a few more similar presentation next weeks where we will have much better app and nicer demos and features. Constantly working on it, and maybe every second day we could share some new version of bot or the app we test on. And now we are searching for some real projects and we are trying to move from the laboratory into some more real, and this will happen before summer. So if you are interested joining us, let us know, and we have a lot of energy to share. So that's it from the question. I don't know whether there is something in the chat.
That's all for now.
Okay, so then thank you very much for coming for the talk. We are pretty excited about the idea, and we believe this will soon work and brings a lot of benefits for us. And this is something I believe after 20 years in testing that's my new toy for a few more years, because all automation and manual testing, that's there for some time. So thank you, and see you in the next webinars or in person or on demos. We'll see.